Good evening, everyone. This is the Planning Advisory Board meeting. It is 6 o'clock on April the 8th. Welcome, everyone. At this time, I would like to do a roll call. Lawrence Blevins.
Oh, muted.
Unmute. I know you're here, Lawrence.
Sorry, yeah, present, excuse me.
Michael DePietro.
Present.
Edward Evans.
Present.
Van Mason. Elizabeth Rossborg.
Present.
Megan Reiser.
Present.
And myself, Gus Kurtz. With 6 members present, we have a quorum. And welcome, everybody. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Megan Reiser to all watching and all the other board members. This is Megan's first meeting. So Megan, thank you very much. And we are so happy to have you on our board. Welcome. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. This is for the agenda for February the 20th and 27th meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Aye.
what?
Any nays? Motion carries.
Yes, I think you meant agenda for
Yeah,
today's.
I'm that was for the agenda. Now we need a motion for the minutes. Sorry about that.
I motion to approve the minutes for
Second.
the 2
20th
meetings.
and 27th meeting.
20th
Motion's been
and
made for
20th,
the minutes. And
February 20th and 27th meetings.
thank you. A second for the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries to approve the minutes. All righty. Tonight we'll do our final deliberations, and we have Naomi and David and a bunch of others to help us with our final deliberations. So at this time, we'll turn the floor over to Naomi. Naomi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Naomi McAllister, Office of Budget. I am the Capital Budget Analyst. Congratulations, our final deliberation, FY27 Capital Budget and Program. It has been a long trek. But I do want to say I thank you so very much. You guys have done a tremendous job in cutting over $900 million out of the capital program. And I also want to let you know that I really appreciate your flexibility and schedule and all the effort and just the time that you've put in to do this. So with that said, I'd like to get started. Let me share my screen here. Which one is it? This one. Okay. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I do with every year, when it comes to this time, I really dig in deep and look for all those extra dollars. So, I update cost estimates. We take a look at funding swaps, tune those numbers with grant funding, minor corrections and things like that. And so in an effort to streamline this evening, I've kind of consolidated that into one line just to make it easier and to focus on some of those decision points that need to be made. So here we go. This is where we left off, being $20 million over affordability. As you know, the goal this evening is to get under affordability. And so what I have here is just kind of a summary of potential items to discuss and how to get there. This first line here is that consolidated line that I told you about, just buttoning a few things up, funding swaps, updated cost estimate, give backs and things of that nature. That only totaled $3.7 million in reductions, and it's spread across about 12 capital projects. We can certainly dig into that later if you want to, but I've just nested it in one line for convenience. The next adjustment that is been made in conversations with the county executive is an increase to the C5196 Information Technology Enhancement, increasing it $2.8 million. Now, just to give a little backstory here, if you recall, their original request for fiscal year 27 was about $17 million. And in the last deliberation meeting, you all had kind of brought it to about $10 million. By adding this funding back in, what it does is it basically gives them what they had last year. They had about $13 million last year. This gives them about $13 million this year to do all the things that they need to do. It still keeps the out years at about $10 million. The other important thing to note about this capital project is in recognizing that it is so large and there's just so much in it, we are breaking it down. So that $13 million is actually going to be spread across 4 projects. 2 already exist, this C5196 and the public safety technology enhancement. We're going to actually expand the scope to just make it all public safety technology instead of the technology associated with vehicles. The information technology enhancement will be reduced. And then we will actually be creating 2 new capital projects. One will be IT corporate infrastructure, and that portion of funding that'll be taken out of C5196 and put into this new capital project addresses things like PC refreshes, improvements made to conference rooms, cloud, MS Office, printers, things of that nature. And then the second new capital project is network and security. So that $13 million is going to be spread across 4 projects. So that's kind of a lot to say about IT, but there we have it. So moving on down, we have Board of Education. So I don't know if you recall, but the Board of Education had several supplemental requests, and one of their requests was the need for field houses. They were looking for 2 field houses. I believe it was Arundel Middle School and Chesapeake, and it was a little over, $8 to $9 million. And so the county executive, in recognizing this supplemental request, is trying to meet that need and has a placeholder in there of about $4.8 million. And that's based off cost, average cost estimates. It doesn't determine at this time which field house it is, but it is a placeholder, and he wants to acknowledge, that request. In order to accomplish that, what this scenario does is it takes that building systems renovation capital project. It keeps fiscal year 27 whole, and you still have the 32 million in there, which is half funded by state. So that's great. This addresses the out years, and it actually just brings it back to plan. The plan for this particular capital project, it's just placeholders. As you know, every year, sometimes, that budget year, you're only getting 18 million. This year it's 32 million. It really just fluctuates with the state. So it just keeps the out years back to fiscal year 26 approved plan in order to accommodate the field house request. Okay, so moving down, Fire Training Academy. If you recall, affordability was really very challenging, and one of the things we talked about was potentially reducing Fire Training Academy in fiscal year 32 by $5 million. This actually puts that back, and it leaves the original intact request for the Fire Training Academy. So that's one of the things that, we'd like to try and see stay whole, if possible. Moving on to the next item, West County Swim Center. Okay, so a lot of conversations about this, and the county executive is looking to reduce this capital project by $30.5 million of county dollars only. Okay, so what this does is it removes the county contribution in 27 through 32. It keeps actually the VLT funding in there for fiscal year 27, which is about $2.5 million. It also keeps prior approved funding. So this capital project is still alive. It has not gone away. What's actually going to happen is the Resilience Authority is going to actually work with the Department of Recreation and Parks and conduct a funding study in fiscal year 27. And so this study will really help us determine how to leverage those county dollars. And, before we get we'd like to take a look at the scenarios and the funding structures and the options before we put that funding in that capital project, just not knowing how it's going to look. So that is that one. And again, it's just the county funding. It still gets $2.5 million in fiscal year 27 of VLT funding. Moving on to the next item.
Question
Yeah.
before you move on this
Sure.
one. So, we've gone round and round and round on this. We started, Gus, you can help me here. It was 35 and now it's 80, I think. So when you say the county executive is cutting county dollars by 30 million, then how is this viable? Because the Resilience Authority is making up the difference? Because
No,
the video?
No. So what's going to happen is they're going to do a funding study. This is such a sizable and costly capital project. And so the Resilience Authority and the Department of the County Executive would really like to see a funding study conducted as to how to get a better mix of funding, not just to leverage those county dollars, whether that be through, PPPs or something like that, to get a better idea of how to fully fund this. So that was the logic behind that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you,
Just
Naomi.
for the record, how much is the funding study going to cost us? This is just going beyond reasonable, in my opinion. And just for the record, and who knows? I mean, the funding study is what? Another $1 million for a funding study?
So there is funding in the capital project to conduct this. So it's no new appropriation in order to do it, just to disclose that.
So Naomi, we talked about the swim center a lot, and I know there's a big need for it. And we were shocked because I think we were somewhere around 20 to 30 million last year on the project, and then it ballooned to 80 million. With bringing things back to plan and taking out that 30.5 million, where does that leave the project totally in the budget? What is that total budget?
So that is $11.8 million.
Okay.
Approximately. There's about $9.3 million in prior approved funding. There would be $2.5 million in fiscal year 27. And then there is placeholder funding in the out years with VLT that's about 16 million. So there is more. There's about $27 million in this capital project total, which includes the prior approved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item, South River Farm Park. I know this is one of the capital projects that was removed due to affordability reasons. And so in this scenario, it adds it back. This was a previously approved capital project, and it has been a long time coming. There's tremendous community support for this project. And so in this scenario, this funding would be added back. And the final piece to this is actually a new capital project, Crofton Park Improvements, for about $3.7 million. And this too, again, has been a long time coming. A lot of community support on this capital project, and it's one of the items that the county executive would like to try and put back in. But let me just scroll down here. So first, I'd like to disclose that these numbers here, the $18.4 million, I've just put this in the fiscal year 27 column just to keep it kind of simple. This number is actually spread across all of these years. So when you see this number down here, the 23 million, it's actually about $7.5 million under affordability. So this is spread across the years, but the net effect is still $2.1 million over affordability. So, the challenging thing is, there's just been so much uncertainty going on, especially, with everything in the world. And we do have the bond sale coming up. That unfortunately hasn't occurred yet, but it is slated to occur on April 13th. The placeholder dollar amount of bond premium in this situation is about $10 million, which was very, very conservative. And I'm glad I was so conservative because, again, with everything that's been going on in the world, that number that was originally kind of high has gone down. So, I was very conservative, but we've been in contact with our consultants. And again, because of things going on within the last 24 hours, it's looking very promising, the bond sale. And so the hope, and, I don't want to jinx anything, but it is believed that we should be able to get an additional funding to cover this and make sure that it goes under affordability. So unfortunately, the bond sale doesn't happen until April 13th, and you all are in your final deliberations this evening, and the goal is to get under. One of the things that I know that you guys have talked about is the support of capital projects that are already approved and to keep them moving through the pipeline and keep them funded, and really use tremendous discretion on new capital projects. So one option could be just to take that out, Crofton Park, knowing that, the bond sale is still out there. Should additional funding be available, the county executive would like to see that capital project brought in. Just one scenario. We can certainly go through any of these capital projects, or what we can do is we can go through that, this sheet and just touch on some of those capital projects that you had interest in and you'd like to revisit in order to try and get this 2.1 million number down below zero.
Thank you, Naomi. I do have a question. PAYGO.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have PAYGO numbers, but they won't come in until May. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've been talking to Huja. I think this is it. I think this is.
You think this is it? I guess my question then is, with PAYGO, do you anticipate any more money, or do you anticipate less coming in?
No, he feels fairly confident with the 194 million. The other thing that hasn't fully solidified is, impact fee revenues. We're in Q3 now, and they're just closing March. So I'm certainly gonna, raid that cookie jar again and run through those numbers to see, is there any additional funding that can be utilized in impact fees? So there's, we're usually buttoned up a lot better this time of year, but like I said, there's been a lot of variables this year that have made it challenging. And so, the wheel's going to kind of stop a little later in April than it normally has. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do like all the changes that you have recommended there. And I know the West County Swim Center is very important, but I do like looking at that over the next couple of years for funding and seeing where that total project's going to wind up. So at least this keeps it on track, and then we can see what the overall budget number is going to be in the next year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So board members, and I do like keeping Crofton Park in there. I know that's a very important project. Board members, comments? Hello, board members. Any comments?
Hey, Gus, just a question again. You said you want to keep the new project with Crofton Park in. Is that correct?
Yes. I think it's a good idea. It's a high growth area. They need a new park there. And we're real close with this affordability model. And I know in the past, Naomi, we have been over a little bit. We're either over or under. Mm-hmm. So when you start at 900 million over and now we're at 2 million, mm-hmm. I think the board has done its job. And I don't want to cut anymore. We have cut and cut and cut, and it's not a feel good moment to keep cutting.
I would like to second that notion, sir.
Thank you, Lauren. Elizabeth?
I agree, and I was just going to say, I think this is less than what we did even last year.
Last year, Correct.
So I would send it forward as is and leave everything that Naomi has adjusted since our last meeting, because I mean, 2 million over, that's nothing. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's a lot. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
like you said, we've done a really good job considering where we started. And obviously there's going to be more adjustments coming. There always are. And
Yeah.
just so that Megan knows what we're talking about, because everything, affordability and the PAYGO and like what they were talking about is the sale coming up. It's very fluid. And even before this goes to county council, what we recommend will be changed. I don't think they get it until May 1st, right?
Yeah. And even after that, things change. I mean,
It still
IAC
changes.
numbers have been updated in June.
So I would
So-
be cautious to cut anything else until, and then we won't know where we want to put that money back into, because it's still all changing. So I'd vote for it to go forward as is.
Okay. Any other board members' comments? Megan, I know you're late on the scene here, but we have really, if you would have saw the original proposed budget, we were 900 million over affordability, and now we're at 2 million. So it's been a long journey. Do you have any comments though, Megan?
I don't. I did just want to let everybody know that I had planned to recuse myself from any vote just because I haven't been involved in the discussion up until now. So good work, everybody.
Okay, well, thank you. I do have a question for David. I know, David, you're online, and David, we always ask you about the projects and so on, and I think overall the board has done a really, really good job of keeping all the ongoing projects moving, funding where we could fund, and I just want to hear from you if you have any alarming projects that we have not funded that you are just really upset about.
Oh, we can talk about that off the record sometime. But no, I agree with you, and what we've tried to emphasize from our standpoint through this whole process was being able to keep existing projects going, even if it takes funding out of some out year, for example. It didn't impact the ability to keep going on what we're doing. And I would say the same goes for the West County Swim Center. With the money we've got now, how we fund it in the future doesn't impact what we're going to be doing over the next 12 to 18 months. We're still going to be going through the design process, figuring out how the project can be phased in conjunction with how it's funded in the future. So I think we're still in good shape on all of these. Yes, thank you.
Okay, very good. And David, I want to thank you again, because I know we always ask you, can we move something out a year or bring it forward a year or so on? And I know they're not easy decisions to make, but we thank you for your really important and critical advice.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other board members that want to comment on the changes that were recommended today by Naomi? And if not, I don't think we need to discuss this anymore. Let's move forward with approving this budget.
If
like
there are
to-
no other comments, Lord, I motion to approve the budget as presented tonight.
Seconded.
Okay, a motion has been made and second to approve the budget as proposed this evening with the $18 million adjustment. And we're at affordability of $2.1 million over budget in our 5-year run. All in favor of this proposal?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries.
I believe Megan wanted to abstain.
Sure. Yeah, so
You,
is that a
you
vote?
blocked out there
Abstain?
for a minute, Megan, but thank you very much. Megan abstains
Yes.
and motion carries. So thank you, everyone. And that will be the end of our final deliberations. And as always, Naomi, I just want to thank you for your time and your guidance, and David and all others involved. But I do have one question, which I really it's important to ask and also to note that with the moratorium on the sewer situation in North County, I know that there's been some talk about some connector lines and so on that are probably going to cost, and I don't know exactly the number, but I thought it was presented to us about $60 million. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm clear on that expenditure, that it does not affect our CIP budget at this time.
My understanding is that it does not, but I'll allow David to just to confirm that.
Well, so first off, that it would all be utility fund funding, not general fund, so it wouldn't affect the affordability. And yes, my understanding is that within the utility fund, they're making things work so that won't change the bottom line numbers.
Okay, thank you. I think that's such a big ticket item. It was needed to make that notation that we don't need to take care of that funding at this time. So, okay, with that, thank you, everyone, and our budget is done for now. What I'd like to do is, because of all the different cuts and changes we have, we normally pick out some we feel as highly important items that we recommend to the county executive. And if any of the members at this time would like to put that on our recommendation letter, let's discuss it now. Let's talk about what those items are.
If you guys need to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure the North County Rec Center was made as one of the top priorities. It's already been in there, but just making sure we push it across the finish line.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. I do have one, and I think the funding for the field houses is very important. I know it wasn't fully funded, but we've given it a good start. So at least acknowledge that we know that these field houses or lack thereof are really important to have for the high schools. Elizabeth?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Michael or Edward, are there any other projects that you feel are really, really important?
I don't have any at this time. That I think we've covered most of it. Ouch. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have anything that stands out necessarily by itself.
Okay. If something comes to mind, we are going to draft that letter, send it to myself and Jessica, Madeline, and we'll make sure that we discuss it and it gets in the letter. So.
I'm sorry, can we backtrack for 1 second? Because I know that this was in the newspaper recently about the cut on the state level. I think that we need to point out the agricultural preservation program. I think that's very important, and we know we're losing money through the state. And so I think it's important that the county continues to fund that, because those are once in a lifetime opportunities to conserve land.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. That was on my mind and I didn't mention it, but yes, it does look like the state funding is going to be cut, so that we're going to have to make sure the county steps up and for those once in a lifetime opportunities that they're taking advantage of. And our friend Michael over there, I know he's going to fight and do whatever is necessary to make that happen. So Michael, if you're listening, if not, we know that you're the right man on the job there. So thank you. Anything else, board members? Okay, with that, then we're going to have an administrative update from Jessica.
Yes. So you guys should have received the interim letter last week. Please, if you have any comments, thoughts, questions on the interim letter, let us know after this meeting or before 9 a.m. tomorrow so we can get that sent over to the county executive. We'll work on the final letter with your new updated recommendations in terms of the budget overall and the projects you wanted to highlight.
Jessica has been having some internet problems, so I think she must have dropped off. But yes, tomorrow by 9 a.m., if you have any updates to that interim deliberation letter, we will get that out. And then I am unsure yet about the 2nd April PAB meeting, but I think that keep the May 13th date on your calendars because we will be meeting that week.
Okay, thank you. And if you can, let's not cut it off at 9 a.m. Let's try to do 11 or 12 tomorrow for any recommendations for your letter. Okay. Is everyone there?
I'm back.
I second that guess.
Second that idea.
Yep.
I'm back. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. All right. We Madeline stepped in and it looks like May 13th is going to be the next meeting. And I think that's it.
One other thing, just a reminder that your financial disclosures are due by the end of this month. I had forgotten that, but
Thank you for that, Elizabeth, because I would have forgotten. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
haven't done mine either.
Yes, and I would make a recommendation when you send your financial disclosures in, make a copy of them because it's so much easier to look back at what you sent in last year versus this year. If it's minimal changes, it only takes you 5 or 10 minutes to update it and send it in. So make sure you make a copy of it so you don't have to recreate the whole thing. So,
Sure.
All right, with that, if there's nothing else, then we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No nays? This meeting's adjourned. And Megan, thank you very much for attending your first PAB meeting. We're glad
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Thank you, Edward.
Thank you. Thanks to the staff. Love all the hard work. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening, everybody.